Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Prime Potty, one of the greatest podcasts in the entire world. I know all of you guys listening week in, week out. I'm so grateful for you guys tuning in. Everyone that's tuning into the YouTube and the Spotify, make sure you guys leave us a like or put on 5 stars for the Spotify if you're listening on there as well. I'm very, very happy to have not only one of my great friends, but also my housemate, Anabolic Gabe, on to the potty. How are you today, Anabolic?
Yeah, right. Went to the gym. Try to find some parking around here was a bit of a struggle. But overall, I'm in good spirits. What about yourself, mate?
I'm actually very well. You're probably the first person that's actually asked back that question, so I'm very grateful for that.
No one's asked you back how you're doing.
No, I don't think so.
Which narcissistic, egocentric individuals have you had on?
I've actually never had someone ask back, oh, how are you? So thank you very much for asking. I'm quite well. I've got a very busy day today, and I've got footy for the first time this weekend, which I'm really excited for.
Flying up for the game, aren't you?
Flying up for the game. If you guys haven't already, check out the game day vlog because that will be absolutely firing.
You should get a helicopter just to land on the middle of the pitch like before the game.
I pray to the world that I'm going to play well, because if I don't, then I'll just lose the SD card.
Oh, file corrupted while I was exporting. Funny that, hey.
Oh, it's crazy, dude. Yeah. It's actually crazy. The games I don't play well, somehow they don't get uploaded.
Yeah, what the hell? I'm actually going to be coming up and watching you, so it's going to be the first time me watching you play footy. So
Are you a harsh critic?
No, I'll be supporting you and the boys playing. So all the Murray brothers and Tom Bolch. So yeah. I'm really excited to watch you play tomorrow. 2 p.m.
2 p.m. Good Friday. It's a Wangaratta versus Wangaratta game. It's a massive rivalry. But anyway, let's stop talking about me and let's talk about you, because it's your day.
True.
You're the guest. Anabolic, for the people out there that don't know you, who are you? What do you do? And why do you do it?
Yeah, it's a good point. So my name is Gabriel. I'm 24, and for the past few years I've been making content. I don't think I'm very good at it, but I think I'm getting better at it. And a lot of people tell me my content positively impacts other people, which I often forget about. And it's what I want to double down on and really become that positive impacting guy in regards to just like fitness, gym, bodybuilding, powerlifting, personal development. That's the kind of content I want to create. And I think I've done that in the past, and I just want to get even better at it. And what else do I do? Yeah, so that's across like YouTube's like the main one I'm focusing on now. TikTok is where like we and myself kind of made a name through that short form content, and I suppose like Instagram, Snapchat as well. Just like always making content, and then we have like a business side to it as well. And yeah, I don't know, any questions on that? Does that make any sense?
Why do you do it?
Yeah, well, I think it all stemmed from why Louis and I first started, was just like friends wanting me to make them like workout programs in the gym and whatever, because I made a certain amount of progress, and like, Gab, can you write me a gym program? And then it came to the point where I was like, so many people are asking me for gym programs, why don't I actually like make a bit of a website so people can, fill in all their details and get the perfect bodybuilding gym program for them. And then Louis, at the same time, we were training partners, and he was like, I want to do apparel. So we kind of combined them together, and it all went from there. And I think we're still progressing and finding the best way to reach as many people as possible and help them in the most effective way possible.
Let's talk about the apparel line, because it's incredible what you've done with that. And, I get to see firsthand you guys getting in, different products and kind of testing them. Like, what's the process that you go through to kind of create the 9 to 5 fitness apparel line?
Yeah, well, I don't consider myself a fashion designer whatsoever. I just know like what I wanted to wear in the gym and what probably other blokes want to wear in the gym. A lot of inspiration from the American scene too, and I try to bring that over here because we can't really get what's selling really well in America because of the shipping costs are exorbitant. So I try to like create our own version for 9 to 5. So we have our shorts, like our different singlets, and they're just super popular. So I essentially say like what's in demand, what will look good, and use my own 2 brain cells to say this will look good. And yeah, it's they've done really well so far for the really popular gym items, I'd say.
You and Louis have combined brain cells on that a little bit.
Yeah.
I guess what's next for the apparel line, because it's something that you've established over the last probably 24 months and it's going really, really well. Are there other things you're keen to move into?
Yeah, I'd say the biggest thing we've done is it used to just be Louis and I marketing the product ourselves, which was good. But I think now what we're realizing is shifting away from that and making it more of like a diverse team and sponsored athletes. Because I don't know, when I was an up and coming influencer and wanting to get a sponsorship, there were no really good sponsorships out there. So I want to give like these young Aussie kids, whether they're potentially girls in the future as well, but like an opportunity where they can have an apparel sponsor. So that's what I'm trying to do, create like a sponsored athlete team similar to what Young LA are doing, but do that here in Australia. So I think that's the main shift, is just, you know, Louis and I are pretty similar. We're just, you know, classic straight, white and male, not much separating us apart from our training style. So we want to diversify that and say 9 to 5s for everyone here. And I think that's what I'm trying to create there. And then the second one is probably integrating potentially a few more streetwear items as well, but also doubling down on our items that do really well.
It's a very good point, because sometimes you lose focus on what's doing really well and you try to move to the next thing. But like, one of the most fundamental things about having a good business is always having the fundamentals that always sell well.
Exactly right. Yeah, I think, yeah, like we're both doing hoodies coming up, and, you know, like some more casual tees and whatnot, which I don't know, it's a completely different sphere for me to test out. So I don't even know if it'll sell, but I know that the beater style singlets and the tanks, like the one I'm wearing here, and the compound shorts, they just sell like hotcakes. So not forgetting about those and doubling down on them.
Yeah. And talk to me a little bit about your upbringing, because it's easy for me. Like, I sit here and I know everything about you. I've listened to all the podcasts you've done.
Yeah.
I live with you, so I know everything about you. But talk to me a little bit about your upbringing, kind of where it all started, and then kind of start to give me a bit of an insight into how that shaped you to be the person that you are today.
Yeah, I suppose like family are Russian, like didn't come from much money, but they always put education first was the number. I think a lot of European backgrounds are like that, where they always put education number one. So a lot of like sacrifices in my family to put me through a private school, and they never had to like say, do your homework, Gab, or whatever. I was just like always pretty blessed, like grateful for the opportunity to go to like a good school, and I was self-driven, like competitive in my classes. So I always wanted to do as well as possible. So I'd say my upbringing was always very like competitive in both like a sporting and an academic background. So and I think that led to me being like so introverted, because I would just like study and practice soccer all day, and like probably wasn't the best person to hang around. Like I'd go to 18th birthday parties and not drink alcohol at all, because I took myself so seriously, which probably wasn't a good trait, but it also taught me like early levels of discipline and study habits and a good work ethic. So, and like so grateful for my family, just so supportive. I've got a younger brother, he's 2 years younger than me, and it was always just a very supportive household, but I was always pushing myself in both in school and sport.
And talk to me a little bit about peer pressure, because I know when I was 16, 17, and I'm happy to say it, you know, sometimes I go and have a beer because that's what everybody else did. Did people ever get into you and be like, come on, mate, loosen up? And how did you kind of combat that and say, nah, mate, you can get fucked?
Yeah, I think it was almost toxic how seriously I took myself, in that I would be judging others for drinking. And look, it was underage drinking, but I think that is so prevalent at every single birthday party. But I was definitely like the uncool one for not drinking. Like I literally have a bottle of water glued to my hand because it was like ATAR. I was looking back on it, it was so cringe. Probably would have done a whole lot better just to loosen up a little bit. But I was never pressured by others because I was so like focused on, you know, doing well. I had like this picture of where I wanted to work and what uni course I wanted to do, and I was like, nothing was going to set me off. That obviously that's changed now, but that was the plan, and I didn't really care what any outside voices said because I was so used to people talking shit about me.
Is that something that you wish you could go back and change about yourself?
No, I wouldn't change it for the world at all. Maybe I would have had more friends, but what are high school friends anyway? Like, to be honest, my only friend from high school is Higo, and we never even spoke, and we just like connected after it. So it's kind of crazy. So I don't regret it at all, because how many friends do you hang out with from high school these days? Maybe there's
it's difficult because they all live in Perth.
Yeah.
But I do have a lot, like I have some of them flying over this weekend, come and see me.
Yeah.
I probably got like, we've got this group chat that just always goes off, and like the boys absolutely love it. But in saying that, I don't want to I would never say anything bad about anyone. But with what I do, it's very easy for me to hang around people like yourself and Lou because we do the same sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I think that you find that when you grow up, it's never what you thought you were going to be doing in high school.
No.
You know, when you're in high school, you're like, I'm going to work this job. I want to be this. I want to be that. Your world and your life never happens that way.
And going on to like what you were saying about how it's easier to hang around people like, you know, the people we hang around, it's not to like talk bad on anyone that we went to school with. Like I got nothing against them. It's just like, this is what we do now. And I think iron sharpens iron and we're constantly collaborating with each other for new ideas. And you might say, Gab, you can do this better. And I might say, oh, your thumbnail needs work here.
I love my schoolmates. Like I would do anything for them. But at the same time, if I got a camera out and started saying, hey guys, make sure you go check out the Primer one, they'd probably say, mate, what the fuck are you doing? Kind of thing. And that's like not something that I want to be around. I want to be around people that, and I've made sure that now I can be encapsulated by people that are going to be supportive instead of people that will take you back. And it's probably a good note for anyone else that's out there that has those kind of friends. It's like they can still be your friend and you can still have fun with them and choose your friends of like who you want to spend time with going out, who you want to spend time with that it's going to be good for you working, who you want to spend time with that's going to be good for you if you're playing footy or whatever like that.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And you definitely, if this is your goal to get 100,000 subscribers on YouTube, you don't need people constantly being around you, judging you, that make you feel uncomfortable for pulling a camera out and chasing your dreams. So I think we're building that environment, which is really good.
And it's the exact same way if someone wanted to go work for, I don't know, their dad at a barista company. I'm not going to come into, you know, their work and say, why are you making coffees, you flog? You know, like that never happens the other way around. But like, because what we do is a little bit more public, people feel the need to kind of pull us down.
Definitely.
And like, you know, we wouldn't do it unless we had thick skin. How do you go? Because I know that you and we both face sometimes a little bit of backlash. What's your response when people kind of come at you with a little bit of that negative energy?
Yeah, I just question like where it's coming from. A lot of the time it's projecting. Like main ones are copper that I'm short, potentially because I got like close male friends that I'm gay. What else do I cop? Yeah, short. Or that I'm on steroids. And I'm so like immune to it now that it's just like, where's this coming from? Maybe like the short one, they're trying to like find anything to pin me down. Like I'm definitely not tall, but they just like try to find anything to cancel out like anything I've achieved. So maybe they're like intimidated by my physique or my lifts or something. So like, oh, it doesn't count because he's a midget, or it doesn't count because he's gay. Like I'm better than him because he's gay or something. Like it's just like, what? Yeah.
I was actually having a very in-depth chat with our friends at Mertra.
Yeah.
And I was like, they kind of dealt with their first flack of like a little bit of hate on social media. And it's a very, very difficult thing to deal with at the start. But once you get used to it, it's like, mate, it's coming from a place of insecurity.
Yeah. Now I've just got a zero tolerance policy for it. Like if you're like, say the slightest thing that's negative, it's just like, you can keep your negativity to yourself. I don't want this on my videos. I don't want any negative energy around me. I only want people supporting and on this kind of trajectory to improving themselves. So you're just instantly blocked and you're never getting unblocked. Like literally, there's just like no room for it. If you're on an anonymous account and you're finding something like, people might say, oh, you just blah, 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 you don't need to block. Well, go make your own channel and make your own decisions. Like for me, I only want positive energy and a community of people that are supportive and supporting each other. And I think I learned that from Dill Buckley. He said that like, it's just an instant block because even if you say it doesn't affect you, like it still just affects you a little bit. And it's almost like I did like a fundraiser for Speak Share. It's like, if you don't deal with these problems that arise one by one when they're coming up, it's like, they'll just accumulate. It's the same with hate comments. Just block and delete them all. Otherwise like they're going to accumulate. And I think you're better off dealing with it like that.
Yeah, 100%. Let's touch on the Speak Share stuff.
Yeah.
You got a new haircut.
Yeah.
If you're watching on the YouTube, make sure you comment out of 10 what Gab looks like.
Yeah.
I honestly think that you look better. I've had other comments from other people, but I
Yeah.
reckon you look ripper. Talk to me a little bit about that and kind of the process of that.
No, well, I wanted to shave my head for a while because I feel like when your head's shaved, you're just locked in. You don't even have hair to distract you. So at the moment, I feel very locked in, and I thought I want to do it, but let's do it for a good cause too. So I did some research on some charities. I thought SpeakShare was probably the one that I resonated the most with, and yeah, yes. So I wanted to do a fundraiser, do it for a good cause. I also wanted to shave my head anyway, and I think we did it pretty well. Like, did a YouTube video out of it, raised I think like $1,000, and yeah, I'm pretty happy with it, to be honest.
I think you look good. You look like the airbender.
Yeah, literally. Yeah. What's his name? Aang?
Aang,
Yeah.
I think. Also, a lot of people did take note that there was someone else cutting your hair.
Oh, yeah. I'm not sure if I'm going to do a name reveal yet, but yeah, she's a very nice lady.
Okay, so one of the questions I had from the people is, are you single?
You know what's funny? As soon as you start posting another girl, every girl starts hitting you up. Like, I don't care, ex-girlfriends, girls that follow you, and I don't reply to them. So I'm still single, but I feel like you got to be loyal in the talking stage if you're taking it seriously.
Talk to me about girls. It's an interesting thing to navigate as a young man. Is it a distraction? Are they a rock? I had Caden McDonald on last week, who was adamant that having a girlfriend is fantastic for you to kind of have as that rock, but sometimes it might take 3 to 6 months to really build that connection with them. Talk to me what your opinion on having a girl or a girlfriend, especially for a young male, is like.
Well, to be honest, it's just still very early days, but the feeling I'm feeling now is like, I don't know, it's very exciting. Like, I think there's definite potential there. And I was under the impression girlfriend is a complete distraction. It's a no. But like, I've met this girl now, and to be honest, it feels like, I don't know, like I'm so excited, and she just like ticks every box for me. Not that I'm got an actual checklist, but like I feel so much happy now, and you've noticed like my general happiness levels. And hopefully it actually turns into something, but it almost feels like for me, I don't have to waste time chasing other girls or, going on other dates. And she is like so supportive of all of my content and whatnot, and actually like helps with ideas, even helps me film sometimes. So for me, it seems like it's actually making me more productive in that work aspect. I think you're getting to that point, or you've got to that point with your relationship too.
100%.
I think the right person is only going to add to your pursuit of your goals.
And that's so true. And if they can integrate themselves into your life freely and easily, then it makes the process so much more enjoyable.
Yeah. Like for me, big one is like, she'll understand if I don't reply for like the whole day, because she knows I'm like editing a YouTube video or editing something or in meetings all day. So she doesn't need that. But I'll just make sure like the time we spend in person is like, off the phone, present, like actually really good times. Like it's fun. We're always happy. So I don't know, like who knows? It's very early days, but I think this could be like, if there is to be like a girlfriend or something, this could be the one that like is good for what I'm trying to achieve.
In terms of advice for young males that are out there that are looking for someone, or maybe just sending a whole lot of DMs out, not getting much back, what advice would you have for them?
Yeah, I actually did. It was through DMs that I actually.
If you don't shoot, you don't score.
Oh, you don't.
As Martin Tyler says, I think.
Yeah. Advice though. Don't be creepy. Like girls I didn't realize how bad girls' DMs are. Like she was showing me hers, and bro, some of the DMs is like, do guys actually think that's gonna work? Like it's like some of it's disgusting, dude. You'd be the same with Bella. Like,
Does it ever concern you how accessible social media is, especially for guys to message girls?
I think it's like for you and I, it's on the other foot too. So it's like that just comes from insecurity. Like if you're with the right girl and you're doing a good job, I feel like you shouldn't be insecure. And like I don't feel insecure. And then on the other hand, like you and I receive a certain amount of, I don't know how many you're receiving. I'm receiving quite a few from girls. Like, can you take me on a date? Blah, blah, blah. Or crazy stuff. Sometimes they send you photos or whatever.
Yeah.
So they just stay in the request there. So that's like for both parties. Like if she's a pretty girl, she's going to get a lot of DMs from guys. If you're a guy with perhaps a bit of status, bit of popularity, you're going to get DMs. So it's just like, as long as you're on the same wavelength and you communicated about it and you both trust each other, I think it's fine. So for me, it doesn't concern me.
Because it's definitely one of those things that it could be negatively affect a lot of relationships. And I think that it does, social media in general, because of the accessibility of just like someone wearing a bikini, it just comes up on your feed, and it's more likely to come up on your feed than something that's got a bit more clothes on.
Yeah, I'd say just if your relationship is good, then you shouldn't have to worry about it.
That's beautiful. Going back to the advice.
Yeah.
Do you reckon, apart from bad DMs, anything else that like is maybe it's a distraction, it's not a distraction?
Yeah, I don't know if I'm just maturing now, like being 24, but I've definitely been in a bunch of toxic relationships where you're arguing every single day. And that is the most draining thing ever. That is the biggest parasite to any sort of productivity and goal you're trying to achieve. And I'm just realizing that now. And it's only when you're out of it that you realize I'm not meant to deal with that. I'm actually meant to feel like happy, and I'm meant to actually have the energy to go and pursue my goals. I'm not sure if you've been in any relationships or situationships like that, but if anyone listening is in one of those things where you're just constantly arguing, like that actually isn't meant to happen.
And some people don't know that because they've never had
Exactly
the other end of the spectrum.
I remember my first relationship, I would have been 19, and every single day on Snapchat, I had a job. We would just like argue the whole time, bro. I didn't even know what we'd argue about, but I'd be at a job and I was getting paid, and like, I swear half my hours were just spent Snapchatting or arguing.
Oh my God.
It was so bad, dude.
No matter what you do, I don't care what you do. I was going to say especially what we do, but it's not true. Every single person, you've got so much bandwidth in a day. You've got so much stress that you can deal with in a day. And this isn't just girls now. This is probably just going friends as well. If you've got people in your life that are bringing you more stress, then you probably just don't have the time for them.
Yeah, and you need to it's a tough call, but you get better at it. Like I think you'd be the same for me. If I recognize someone's like, being toxic for me, I have no issue with cutting them out, like no matter what, because you got to look after number one, which is yourself. And if they're bringing you down, they're taking away your bandwidth, and they're essentially a parasite. You got to make that call.
Talk to me about the people that you surround yourself with. You've probably got 5 to 10 very close friends that you would probably call your inner circle.
Yep.
How do you differentiate between who's in that and who's out of that?
I think it's pretty easy. Like you and Louis, obviously very close. It's like the ones you've known for a long time, you can trust, and you can feel their energy that they genuinely want the best for you, and they're supportive. And I feel like I'm very good at telling when someone actually doesn't want the best for you, like reading their character. So I'd say I've got a very good support network of friends, family, coaches, like specialists. What about yourself? How do you tell that?
I honestly think that I'm worse than you are, because I think that you're very good at figuring out early, and I'll always give people too much leeway, I think. And sometimes you just got to be a little bit more cutthroat with it, Like I said before, there's only so much bandwidth that you've got in a day, and sometimes for me, I'm like, I just try and give, and I think that I'm a pretty understanding person usually. But yeah, I think that you kind of are much better at kind of snapping your finger and being like, nah, let's sort this one out before it gets any worse.
Yeah, you've probably noticed that like whenever I meet someone, I'm almost a bit standoffish. Like someone might give me heaps and I just give them nothing, because I got pretty like high guard up, I'd say. Like I've been burnt a few times, and that's resulted in me just like tiptoeing around to suss out the vibe before I properly trust someone. But whereas I feel like you give people a lot straight away. That's just your personality. It might not mean that you're trusting them and wanting to do a business deal with them, but you're a very extroverted, outgoing, whereas I'm a bit standoffish at first interactions.
Let's talk about, going out and stuff, because you said before you didn't have any drinks. When did that kind of start to change for you, and why did it start to change?
Yeah, I had my first beer like 3 years after year 12. 3 months.
So you're 21?
No, 3 months after year 12.
Okay.
I remember that was with Louis. We went to Asian Beer Cafe and we poured a few jugs. Steve was there too.
The big lamb?
Yeah, we poured a few beers for ourselves. I think Steve was there. And they went down an absolute treat. I went to my first nightclub.
No
It was
way.
unreal, mate.
What was your first nightclub that you went to?
I think it was called... I think it was called Glory.
Interesting.
Back in the day. I think that was on like Toorak Road or something like that. Someone tell me what that's actually called these days. It's just a venue and it was called like Glory Thursdays or something. And it was unreal, mate. It was like a movie.
The best
you
fun
should have
you've
been there.
ever had.
It was like a movie, bro. You should have been there.
Oh, you should have been there, boys. You should have been there.
Yeah.
But,
Then I remember on exchange, so I was 20. That's where I met Hess, our fourth housemate.
yes, the big man.
There was quite a bit of drinking there, like going out every second night. It was
Big
unreal.
vegan.
Yeah, big vegan.
Loves it.
And yeah, there was quite a bit of going out there. So that was good fun.
So you've kind of changed your mantra, I guess, on what you were doing during school.
Yeah.
And now you are a little bit more, probably like, you'll go out a little bit more. How, but also we're quite controlled with it in the house, I think. Like, we know if we're going too far with
We're not
things.
cracking a beer open.
No, we're not doing it every night. Oh,
No.
Big day, boys.
Yeah, just crack open.
Hand me
it.
a better beer.
Yeah.
It's been a big day. But yeah, you've definitely kind of changed your stance on that. How's that kind of come in with all your training and all that sort of stuff?
Yeah.
Like, do you reckon it's affected it that much?
I feel like my stance was I'd always have my mum and my grandma in their Russian accents going, Gebechka, alcohol, the male brain isn't developed until 20. Literally like that, bro. So I just always had them, fuck, my brain's not going to be developed until I'm 21. And alcohol's just deleting my brain cells. If there's any doctors in the chat or scientists, please tell me how valid that is. But that is literally the biggest reason I held off, because I just wanted to wait until I grinded out that ATAR
Yeah.
to have a few drinks. And I think now it's just like, you just can't achieve fantastic results in terms of performance, particularly for what I do with like powerlifting and bodybuilding. Like, alcohol is just not conducive to it, but at the same time, you don't want to be a loner. So I guess I'll pick my moments. If you want to do it for a good reason, I'd say maybe once a fortnight, once a month. Sometimes it's a bit more than that if there's a good event on and there's good people and it's going to be worthwhile, or it's like good to network. Like, since you've been down, it's really opened my eyes to going out to actually network and meet new people. Like, be on the valley, you weren't there, but you should have been. And
I know.
that was just a few days of me of drinking and interacting with a whole new crowd of people I wouldn't actually interact with on an everyday basis. So sometimes they can be very beneficial in terms of a networking thing. But if you're just going out drinking to escape your life, I think that's worrying. And I think sadly a lot of people do that. It's just like, they've worked 120 hours during the week for the man, and fuck my life, I better escape it and drink 30 beers on the weekend on Friday and Saturday.
What's your advice for those kind of people that are going out every weekend and just ready for Friday Arvo knockoffs, or just ready for the Saturday to go out and go to bloody Emerson?
I mean,
Which we love. We
actually love the Emerson. And I went out there for the first time in a while, and I was like, bro, this is why don't I do this every weekend?
It's so much fun,
it's
bro.
so much fun, honestly.
And it's almost like this magnet that's bringing you back every weekend. And like, how do you say, nah, I'm going to stay at home?
It's tough because like Friday afternoon rolls around and, you're itching for 5 p.m. and sometimes I'm like, I just want to have the tools down and have a beer or something. But it's only good when like your mate's there. Now you got footy, obviously you won't be around till the Saturdays, which definitely helps. But I think, a Saturday night, maybe once a fortnight is all right. And I think it also makes it like you value it so much more and have so much more fun when you actually space it out and you're not doing it every weekend.
So true.
What do you think on that topic?
Yeah, I agree. I think that there's certain times, especially it's very, very difficult being in a footy or sports setting because a lot of the time, mate, especially in footy and soccer as well,
Yep.
you're only as good as what if your teammates don't pass you, they're fucking fucking ball.
Yeah.
You know, you're not going to get a kick. So I remember it was a few weeks ago and a few of my mates was after a game and they're like, oh, let's go to Electric. And I would usually say no because it was just a random Saturday night. There was no reason to go. But it was with like 6 of my teammates and I was like, no, bugger it. Let's all go. We'll go have some beers. We stayed till like 2 a.m. And like the point of that is to like make good connections.
And didn't you only have like 2 drinks that night anyway?
Legit 2 drinks and then drove home.
Yeah.
So like that was one of those nights that I was like, I don't really want to go out, so I'm going to go have 2 beers and I'll, drive home and I'll make a really good connection with my teammates.
Yeah.
So like you said, on that point, I think that if you're going out, let's say every weekend, you don't have to drink every weekend.
Yeah, I agree. And you still get that social benefit. Like
Exactly.
I've definitely done a long stint of like still going out with my mates every night, but not drinking. And like, it is difficult to do. Like, trust me, it is a lot more fun when you've had 20 beers, but it is just a constant trade-off and it's so difficult. I don't want to be the fun police, but you've just got to make your own call in your life if you want to progress physically, mentally as well. You don't have the scary Sundays, but
Yeah. How much more efficient are you on a Sunday and a Monday when you're not hungover?
Oh, unbelievable. I genuinely think a night of drinking is 2 days of productivity lost because nowadays the hangovers are pretty rough. I like to hydrate. I have like the electrolytes before and after drinking and I'm still just a lot slower the next morning. But if you're not even hydrating and you're sleeping until midday and you feel like rubbish, it's genuinely 2 days of productivity loss. So it is very difficult and I'm sorry to sound like the fun police, but it's just tough, man.
It is tough. Now, before we get into a little bit of your training, 'cause you're a big boy.
Thank you.
You're welcome. We've got to get into a nice little bit of PrimeTrain stuff.
Yeah.
Because, it's a Prime Potty.
Go for
Ladies and gentlemen, you must go onto the website and check out our new PrimeTrain subs. We've got some very exciting new flavors coming in the pre-workout, but we already have the orange flavor pre-workout, which is absolutely flying off the shelves, selling like hotcakes. People absolutely love it. We've got some new flavors coming in the pre-workout. We have the vanilla and chocolate, 100% grass-fed whey protein isolate, the most bioavailable protein for your muscle synthesis.
Yeah.
I almost did a lisp there. I was very nervous for that. And we also have unflavored creatine. So make sure you go check out any of those fantastic products. You can use the code podcast to get 20% off. You can also use the code podcast to get 20% off any of our training programs. The new AFL in-season gym programs absolutely flying off the shelves. Again, another hotcake type of event there. We've also got some new apparel coming, so make sure you guys keep your eyes out for that. Very, very exciting. Just keep the podcast code just like in your notes, and you can always go back to it whenever you want to use it. It's very, very exciting times coming up. Also, let's chat about Whoop.
Oh, yeah.
How good are Whoop bands?
Mate, they're unbelievable.
I legit wear mine. You've got the old...
I just put the black one on.
Yeah, good. I wear the black one when I'm doing like workouts and stuff. Yep. What's your recovery at today?
I think 88%.
So good. You were showing me before. What was your sleep?
96%, 8.5 hours of sleep. I don't even know how. I think I went to bed
good.
at 10:30 and woke up at 7:30.
That's so good.
Yep.
That is so good. If you guys don't know about Whoop, please go and check it out. Gab and I both wear ours every single day. We absolutely love them. They're going to tell you your daily strain. They're going to tell you your recovery. They're going to tell you pretty much everything you need to know about your sleep, which is like one of the most integral parts of becoming, I guess, a Sigma.
Yeah, the health metrics are just unparalleled. Like there isn't, I've used other things, like I still wear a Garmin just for pacing for running, but the actual health metrics you get from the Whoop are completely unparalleled, like so much better. And we also have like that group as well. So the community you can join.
The Whoop community is fantastic. Everybody absolutely loves it. They're in there every day. I have to turn off the notifications sometimes because they're the little little freaking dogs are in there every day asking questions about stress and everything. They've just released a new stress metric as well, which is fantastic. You get to tell you how stressed you are.
Yep.
Are you stressed these days?
I try to keep all sort of stresses, external stresses that aren't necessary. I try to remove them from my life.
Very good. So your stress is quite low usually?
Yeah, I think it has been high, but we
because
just
you're working out so much probably.
Yeah, well, those are things you want, but other things like, toxic people or toxic situations, you want to remove them.
Healthy stress is the way to go. Now, what I think everyone's been waiting for, Gab, you are an absolute swolger.
Thank you.
You're massive. And I've seen firsthand what you eat, what you do for training, but I'm not going to touch on it. I want you to tell me, how the hell did you get so goddamn large?
It was that year I went on exchange, definitely. And so that was a jam-packed year. It was 2019. A few things happened. First breakup. So that girlfriend I was arguing with on Snapchat, I think she cheated on me during my exams. But best thing that ever happened to me. So shout out to her.
Revenge arc.
And that's where I turned into Anabolic Gabe, I think.
Yeah.
Then went on exchange that year, and I just started tracking all my food, went into an actual lean bulk, and that's when I started the more power building style of training. And it was only really the second half of the year I started making all that progress. So I'd said goodbye to all my friends, gone to Malaysia for 6 months, and I came back and I went from 68 kilos to 85 and still the same level of leanness. And my friend said, what kind of Malaysian supplements were you taking there,
You've
mate?
done a Bruce Banner, mate. You've done a Batman. You've gone.
Literally. And then, but Hess saw firsthand, we would go to the gym there and we would then go after this place called the Rock Cafe, which is all these different hawker things there. Any cuisine, any Asian cuisine you wanted was there. And so I'd get some dumplings, some crispy pork. I'd get 2 chicken teriyaki dons on rice.
Yum.
One for now, one for dessert. Then I get a 1 litre orange juice with no sugar in it. And anything else. And I just smack it all down, bro. I was eating 4,000 calories a day. It was unbelievable.
So that's what it's down to, really eating more.
I was eating like a genuine horse, mate. It was fucked. Yeah.
And you gym every single day. You don't miss.
Yeah, I mean, some days I will. I'm planning, not even a rest day. So, I'll drive up tomorrow to see you play footy. I might try to run a 10K in the morning. But I'm planning on giving myself a break from the weights because I haven't taken a break in 10 days. But it's based on how I feel. But I do get quite a bit of volume in on a weekly basis.
Do you know how much volume you get in?
It's all periodized. My coach does everything for me. But sometimes I have a deload week. But yeah, it just depends where I'm at in my training blocks with him.
In terms of metrics, you pretty much track everything. And when I say that, you're very analytical. You love numbers. Yeah. You track pretty much everything that you do in the morning, your morning weight. You track how much you eat, etc.
Yeah. Yeah. And you guys know, living with me, diagnosed OCD. That isn't a joke. I don't just throw that term around. But literally, I have to track everything, have everything in order. Otherwise, I genuinely can't function. And I also think that's the best way to make progress too. So the whoops are a huge part of that. That allows us to track the sleep and sleep quality really, really effectively. Do you have any questions on how I track? Because to me, it's all in my head. But
in terms of in terms of everything,
the analysis of everything.
Well, I just want to know: is that essential to becoming the swolger that you are?
I think what gets tracked gets improved. So you probably don't have to do it to the extent that I do. But I think if you're just going in the gym and making up your workouts and lifting whatever weights you feel like, you're probably just going to be going around in circles. Mm-hmm. So I think you do need to take some segments of tracking and put them into your own life, whether that's getting on a structured gym program and just very basically tracking your sleep. And another one I like to do is my mood and some journaling and things like that. I think a few elements of tracking are necessary to making progress, but not to the extent that I do.
Mm-hmm. You gym, well, for other people out there, do you reckon 6 times a week? 6
times a week, and then I probably do 4 to 5 cardio sessions a week. So probably training around 11 times a week, I'd say. But if I'm feeling pretty fatigued, I might just do some skipping, 5 rounds of 1 minute. That's something I've been trying to get into lately. My form's still shocking, but the cardio session might not be huge. I'm feeling pretty wrecked.
Just jump on the bike.
Yeah, that's one I love. We live on some pretty good cycling territory, and I'll just go for an hour, do maybe 1 10-minute effort in there, and the rest will just be zone 2. But I do love the cardio side of things.
Mate, I can't take anything away from the way that you handle yourself from the nutrition and the gym standpoint. And it's probably not until I lived with you that I realized how efficiently, effectively, and dialed in your training actually is. So it's something that I'll definitely give you kudos for. And anyone out there, it'd be good if they could just spend a day or a week with you and understand as well the amount of food that you have to eat to maintain that. And then probably also the amount of protein. How much protein does anyone out there need to have to build that much muscle?
Yeah, there's two schools of thought here. One is the NPC Karen government recommendation, which is it's something disgusting like 0.8 grams of protein per kilogram of body mass. Do that and you just won't go anywhere and you'll have nerd neck and you'll literally be built like a lawn chair. But if you do want to make some progress, probably opt for at least on the lower threshold, 1.6 grams of protein per kilogram of body mass. If you're on more of a calorie deficit, go up to 2.4. That is my recommendation. I'm probably having around 160 to 200 grams of protein per day, and it's just necessary if you want to be making progress.
And you use, like, it's very difficult to get to that amount of number if you're just eating steak and chicken. What else do you supplement with?
Yeah, definitely the MyProtein Clear Whey. Like just whey in general is huge. Like you've got your supplements. Love that kind of stuff in a smoothie or a protein pancake or perhaps some overnight oats.
Beautiful.
Absolutely love that. And that's just a really good way to create an optimal macronutrient profile. And that just means like lower carbs and fats compared to protein.
And I think that it's called a supplement because it's in supplementary to your diet. You could try and get 160 to 200 grams a day from like meats and eggs, but it's going to be very, very difficult. And it's also going to be a little bit monotonous as well.
Yeah, it's just like it's going to be quite dense to eat. Like you're going to be eating a lot of volume of food that fills you up. But like you definitely can do it. Like you don't need supplements. It's just convenient and it's a bit of variance in your daily diet. So like chicken breast, you can get a whole, like one big 300 gram chicken breast, that's probably going to be around 80 grams of protein. So maybe a bit less, maybe like 70. So you only really need 2 of those and something else for some trace sources of protein to get your daily intake in. So it's definitely possible, but yeah, protein is just a convenient option out there.
And how do you space that out throughout the day?
Yeah, so there is an argument of like, I can have this shake with 200 grams of protein. It's like you could, but it's going to be a whole lot more optimal if you have it in 3 to 5 sittings per day, and those sittings will consist of 30 to 50 grams of protein per day. And lots of people will be like, no, your body can absorb it. It probably can absorb it, but it's just going to be like unenjoyable, and you might have some issues on the toilet and
very bad
issues. You can just eat 3 healthy meals a day with 50 grams of protein in it each, and it's going to be a whole lot. And think about it, right? Your body operates on like a 24-hour clock, right? If you're just feeding it the 200 grams of protein once per day, it might be effective, but if you're actually just like trickling it in 3 to 5 times a day, like it just makes more sense to me. And I'm fairly sure there is like some pretty significant evidence out there that it is slightly more optimal. But I think the overarching thing you need to aim for is daily intake. Then the second thing is the actual protein quality and how it's absorbed. So if you're just having like vegan stuff with an incomplete amino acid spectrum, then that's not going to be high quality. So second thing is focus on the quality, like a good eye fillet or a bit of red meat with a complete amino acid spectrum. The third thing is going to be protein timing. So in that order as well.
And what would be a bad or maybe a bit more of an ineffective way of consuming your protein, like in terms of the foods that they're eating? Like if someone's having, I've had 200 grams of protein, but your protein's shit, what are they probably eating that's not that good?
I see people like, just loading up on like those YoPro frozen pizzas or whatever. I haven't done much research, but I presume if it's in a freezer, it's not going to be the healthiest thing for you.
And it's probably going to lose a lot of its nutrient value as well.
Yeah, honestly, I'm not that well researched on if protein is absorbed the same if it's like frozen, but I'm a big believer in like whole foods are the best. So nothing better than a good like steak cooked up. Some people have arguments against like white meat, like chicken and turkey, but it's cheap at the end of the day. I think it's going to be better than the processed stuff. Obviously, eggs are conducive with like cholesterol, which is conducive with testosterone, and I think that's just a fantastic way to get it in. So I think whole foods first and then go for like a protein supplement too.
Absolutely love it. I'm actually getting a testosterone guy on in the next couple of weeks, but I wanted to touch on it with you because it's something that you have researched a little bit. Testosterone is one of the most important things for males, young males. It can also actually be important for females to have a little bit of test as well. How does someone increase their level of testosterone, and why? Why would they bother doing that?
I think testosterone is like the number one hormone for males that just regulates everything that they do. So in terms of like your drive in your life and feeling like you have purpose and getting up in the morning, like that's going to be largely influenced by your testosterone level. And if you're feeling depressed and in a slump and in a rut and you just have no drive up, I'd say like there's a pretty good chance like your testosterone is going to be in the toilet. So, and the second one is it is the most important hormone for building muscle in humans, I think for females as well. So if you're a male and those are your goals, you like being happy, you like having purpose, and you like making progress physically and feeling good mentally, then you should be pretty concerned with your testosterone levels. If you don't want that, then forget about it. You don't want testosterone, but I presume most people listening do. So the best ways to increase that naturally, so not taking it exogenously, is just through lifestyle factors. So some really big ones are good sleep. That's probably going to be best. Then good, obviously consuming the right fuel. So good nutrition, and then
gym.
Yep. And then I think the type of training that is going to be best for increasing testosterone is actually strength training.
Yep.
I feel like there's some studies out there that say like heavy amounts of cardio actually reduce testosterone.
Interesting.
So I remember our coach saying to Louis, because he was doing such a high volume of running, like his testosterone might take a bit of a hit.
Interesting.
It's also worth noting that testosterone fluctuates throughout the day. So it's generally highest when you first wake up. That's why when a lot of guys, they wake up and
there's a tent in the bed.
You have that thing called morning wood and you can't even go to the toilet. And that is actually a really good sign of knowing your testosterone is at healthy levels. So if you do have that, don't be annoyed. It's actually a good indicator that you're healthy in regards to the testosterone. If you don't, then it probably could be a good indicator you need to get it checked. Some other things you can pepper in there to boost your testosterone is, what are we saying? Actually,
sunlight?
Yeah, sunlight. That's huge. So like now I'm learning as soon as I get up, I actually have these lights that wake up with my alarm and they just like shine bright sunlight into my eyes.
Erling Haaland.
Yeah, exactly right. What would be best is like your room, the second story, you have the natural sunlight coming in. I don't have that, but I'm doing the next best thing. Then I straight away get into a cold shower, and then me and the new girl, we might go on a quick whip around the block for a walk, just get some sunlight straight away in the eyes. So vitamin D exposure is going to be a huge one. Listen to an Andrew Huberman podcast on like light exposure and the benefits of that, and probably a podcast on how to increase testosterone. He says it a whole lot better than I am, but these are just very basic lifestyle factors you can integrate to overall boost that. Obviously, alcohol is going to have like a massively negative effect on your testosterone. So if you're just frequently consuming alcohol, it's probably going to be in the toilet.
I love the way that you articulate some of these things. It's fantastic. I really enjoy, especially the scientific kind of side, because, we're not scientists. We're never ever going to claim to be, but we have done a lot of research over the years to get to where we are and to also provide the right information to you guys as well. Try to provide the right information, but we always urge you to do as much of your own research if you want to learn about this sort of stuff. It's
actually a huge one is actually interacting and having intercourse with women.
Yes.
Obviously consensually. And another one that Andrew Huberman says is consensually, and he says with the right species. Not that should even have to be told.
Really?
But it's a crime. It's a genuine crime.
Oh, right. Oh, in terms of... Oh, right. I thought you meant male and female.
No.
Right.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's not that should even have to be mentioned, but I can't remember exactly how he says it. And there are studies to show when you have intercourse with a woman, is particularly if it's a new relationship. So probably the stage I'm in where it's a new thing and you're having intercourse, there is a huge spike in testosterone.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And that's probably why, I don't know if you felt it, but when you're in a new thing and you're doing it, mate, you feel unreal. And that is probably because your testosterone is spiked.
That's crazy. I would love to know if it's similar for girls. I'm sure it is.
I wouldn't be able to comment on that, but
yeah,
we'll have to get a girl girls. If you're in the chat, let us know if your testosterone spikes after doing the deed.
Yeah, because generally they're over the moon. The next couple of days, they're the same that we are.
Yeah,
we're very happy. Well, that's very interesting. Talk to me quickly about those cold showers you do in the morning.
Yeah, so I've done one every single morning this year, except for days I've been sick, because apparently it's not good to do when you're sick, and just gets me going. You're actually, there's a cold stimulus on you, and your body internally will do the opposite. So it will heat up, and you want your core body temperature to be primed when you're lifting weights and having to perform. So I think your core body temperature peaks like a few hours into the day, but I think you can fast track that by having some sort of cold exposure there. So for me, I just find it very beneficial in terms of mindset, in terms of waking myself up, but also for priming my core body temperature for activity.
Let's touch on content.
Yeah.
Probably the video that made you the most famous.
Yeah.
Talk me through the avocado toast video.
Mate, there wasn't much to it, to be honest. I just looked for stuff to duet, and it was a 7-second video. I just put my honest thoughts on that, got a little MyFitnessPal screenshot, and bang it. It was a very slow starter, actually. I'm pretty sure it only had maybe it didn't. I can't remember, but I don't think it had the quickest start. I just uploaded it, went to bed, and I think over the next few days it got like 12 million views, and I just triggered all of alt girl, bluehead, Brunswick share house girl TikTok, where they said I was promoting eating disorders. And shout out to them. They have a different school of thought to me. And there was just a battle. You know, there were a couple gym bro swordsmen swinging their swords against the blue-haired Quandale Dingles, we'll call them. And there was a massive battle in the comments section. And I think when you have massive battles in comment sections, that's when videos go viral.
What was your response to people saying that you were promoting eating disorders?
I said, this is like my genuine personality tracking things. It's what a lot of people do to actually make progress in regards to like their physique and physical performance is tracking nutrition. And I don't think just because you track nutrition, you have an eating disorder. But some people have a bad relationship with putting food into numbers, which I completely understand. I'm probably lacked a bit of empathy for them because I never saw it that way, but now I do, and I know that it's a serious issue. But I also think if a video is going to trigger your eating disorder on TikTok, then you probably shouldn't be on TikTok.
It's very true.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic response from you because...
But now I've taken their advice and I put calorie warnings on my videos like that.
And it's very, very difficult for us because we've never really experienced an eating disorder. So it's hard for us to understand what they kind of go through with that. So I think that, like you said, being empathetic is one of the most important things that we can do on social media.
Yeah, I agree.
Why'd you call yourself anabolic as well?
Because it was actually a nickname Louis gave me. So we were training partners from the age of 18. And I think one day he just started calling me anabolic. And then we started training with our mate Jesse as well. And there'd be like a few gym sessions and they'd just call me anabolic. And then it was a nickname that ended up being a real name. Yeah, and then I changed my Instagram handle that year when I started putting on mass to Anabolic Gabe, and it just stuck from there.
So it's an interesting name, but
and most people think it's to do with drugs, which I think the biggest connotation is anabolic steroids, but that isn't actually what anabolic means. Anabolic is just the building up of cells, so getting larger. So if you describe a meal as anabolic, it just means like it's fueling you towards building more cells. Anabolic steroids, obviously exogenous hormones, they're going to be fueling you towards building more cells. So that is just a prefix that, but most people, like the most common term is anabolic steroids.
You are pretty big. Are you natty?
I am natty. I've never taken anything. I don't know if that'll change in the future. But
what's that syringe in your room doing?
Can you cut that, Keith? No, that one's for dropping low-calorie white chocolate flavor drops in my coffee in the morning. Yeah,
I was wondering what.
Yeah.
Okay.
It definitely wasn't in my glute.
Okay, just checking. I was just checking. I've got a few Q&As here.
Yeah.
What does a leg day look like for you? I don't want you to give the full things. I don't want you to too much out, but like what general exercises?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I train legs 3 times a week.
That's pretty
and
good.
Generally squats, deadlifts, hip thrusts, good mornings, Nordics, calf raises, and all sorts of different squat and deadlift variations. And in regards to the accessories, like, you know, leg extensions, leg curls, also doing a lot more functional stuff now. So I think a big reason why I did quite well on that 20-meter sprint, which I was going over with my coaches, I've been doing so the 45-degree like sprint mechanic sled pushes, and I've actually been doing them for like 4 months, and I forgot that's actually probably made me pretty damn quick at sprinting. And so I've been loading them up to like 200 kilos, like absolutely grinding it out in the gym. Also like some med ball work with like the jumps. So that is so specific for like that standing vertical. So quite a bit of functional stuff happening in there too.
That is actually elite. Henry Roberts asks, does Gab have any insecurities he would like to tell the world?
Yeah, definitely. I think they're insecurities, but I've just like accepted them now. Like like I know like my appearance is very like Russian. I don't know. It probably isn't like the same as like your average bloke in Australia. And I think potentially like my face looks quite different. But that's just like my genetics and where I was. Maybe if I lived in Russia, I'd look a lot similar. I think during school, like I was very insecure about it, like potentially with the way I looked. But now I'm like, this is what I've dealt with. And I've also realized like for males, like I think your attractiveness is based off of what you make yourself and other things, not just looks. So for me, I really don't care anymore. So I'd say I was very insecure about the way I looked previously, and I don't actually receive any comments about the way I look. I think a lot of people like tend to idolize like what I've become now. So now I'm just like, this is the cards I've been dealt. Like, let's just go with it. Probably the other one is like height. I wouldn't consider my short, 178 centimeters. I'm definitely not tall either, but I think people think I'm very short from my videos that I post. So receiving heaps of comments about that, it almost did make me insecure about it. But then like they see me on the street and it's just like, no one would ever call me like a midget there.
It's so funny when you meet a fan on the street or someone that's actually been taking the piss out of you. I get it after a game. The same bloke's been saying, you're a flog, mate. Always the same bloke come up to me after a game and go, love your stuff, mate. You're such a legend. You're doing great things. So
I want to ask you that because you're a very confident guy. Do you have any like insecurities?
I used to have very bad acne and that was shocking. That like I literally couldn't leave the house. Like it was terrible. But in terms of insecurities, I still get a little bit, with my skin sometimes if it gets bad. Yeah. But really, I'm very body conscious. So if I feel like I'm not at the right body fat percentage or like, which is a good thing, I think, because it means that I'm really healthy, but some people would say it's an unhealthy relationship. You say what you will, I'm really happy with the way that I look and I think that it's the right mentality to have, and you have to have that mentality. You've got to be hard on yourself if you want to continue to be better. But in terms of insecurity, like I never really look in the mirror and look at myself and I'm like, you look terrible. Yeah. I try, like obviously there's better looking people out there than me and I'm very, very happy with that, but that's just the cards that I've been dealt, like you said, and everything's about gratitude, and I'm grateful that I've got 4 limbs, I've got a great family, I've got a roof over my head, I've got food on the table.
Exactly. Like I think, what are you going to do? Go and get surgery on it or cry about it? It's like, no, just freaking get on with it.
Nah, but you know what I will do? I'll do what I can to make myself better. So I used to have I still do, like never had like the greatest like facial features, especially like acne and stuff. And I was like, what can I change about myself that's going to make me more desirable? I'm going to go to the gym because I can change that.
Same.
So I can change 90% of my body. I can't change my face. I can't do anything. All right. That's how it is. That's the cards I was dealt. So I'm like, I'm going to go out and change the things that I can change.
Definitely.
And I reckon that's a very good point for anyone else out there. You can only choose one to train, chest or legs, for the rest of your life.
I'd say probably chest, because you can wear pants and just get away with having small legs. Yeah. But like a chest is what people are going to look at. Like even when you have a shirt on, when you're out on a Saturday night, that's what's going to like make you frame, as well as probably shoulders. But by training chest, you're probably indirectly training your shoulders a lot too. So I think that would give you like that Superman frame. So if you're going to pick one, you might look like really skinny up top and just have these absolutely jacked legs, and that'll look a bit weird. But I think, chest would have to be the option there.
Biggest obstacle you faced in your business from SWED 1998?
It's a good question. I think it's like something like both you and I are understanding now is like this cash flow obstacle. Like sometimes the business is making plenty, there's a lot of money coming through the door, but like you got to pay for things in advance. So navigating cash flow issues is what I'm having to deal with now, because like as the apparel expands, you have to have these massive purchase orders, and it's like, well, we've made all this money, but fuck, it's all gone now because I have to pay for that. Or like sometimes you haven't had those sales yet for that thing that's going to sell and you don't have the money yet. So just navigating cash flow issues is probably the biggest obstacle I'm facing and have faced.
It's probably the same for me. I think it's as well like accepting that you're just going to have to spend some money on samples and stuff as well. And, you know, you're going to throw some money out there that just you're never going to get back. And unfortunately, that's just the way that the business rolls. Gab, this has been an absolute pleasure talking to you, but we're not quite done yet. The last question, which I ask every single one of my guests, and it's one of my favorite questions because I get to give the listeners out there something that they can go home with.
Yep.
Can you please give me 3 successful habits that you've employed throughout your life that's got you to the position that you are in today?
Number 1, I've started doing it this year, and that's sleeping with my phone in a different room. So I put it in my ensuite, and it's just way better. Another one is treating your training like a habit and like it's brushing your teeth. So it's just a non-negotiable. If you're not training, then you almost feel guilty. And it's like people will say, oh, it's not a good relationship, but it's a part of your life. If you didn't brush your teeth this morning, you'd be like, ugh, my teeth are all furry. I can't even open my mouth because it smells so bad. That's the same with training, and it just ensures that you get into it. The third one is when I started taking my sleep seriously. So I remember it was that year of exchange, a very big year for Anabolic. And Louis and Jesse, they sent me the Joe Rogan podcast with Matthew Walker. If you haven't listened to that, that'll change your life. And that was when all this new academic research on the benefits of sleep were arising. And I was someone that prided myself on how little I slept and how much I was getting done with regards to like good grades at university and progress in the gym. And when I started taking my sleep seriously, I just benefited so much in so many different aspects.
You're a legend, mate.
Thank you.
You have no idea how much I think people are really going to get out of this podcast. Like I think we touched on some really great things with training, with protein, with testosterone, your background and everything. And I think that everyone will be going home very, very happy and then also more knowledgeable than what they came in. So thank you so much for joining me, Anabolic Gabe. It's been an absolute pleasure. Guys, thank you so much for listening. Where can people find you?
It's just Anabolic Gabe or Sigmabolic Gabe. Just look it up and I'll probably pop up.
The GOAT. Make sure you go check him out, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in every single week. Leave a like, leave a 5-star. Love you. Stay sexy. See you soon.
Thanks, guys.